Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is immigration attorney Moumita. Thank you so much for joining me live. I'm here to talk about immigration with you and to answer some of the most pressing questions that you may have on your mind about your immigration case or your immigration situation and about the consequences of having something done or not having something done. So, my name is Moumita Rahman. I am an immigration attorney. I'm based in New York and I work on cases all over the US. So no matter where in the US you are located, if you would like to have a consultation with me, please give us a call at 212-248-7907 so we can evaluate your case and get you booked for an appointment with me. And once again, thank you so much for joining me live. I'm going to talk about something that I'm seeing happen a lot in immigration cases. What happens if you have married to a US citizen and all of a sudden, you have started this green card process or you started the waiver process for a perdón and or an I-601A waiver. However, you are in the middle of getting a divorce. All of a sudden, you find yourself in the situation where you are no longer living with your spouse. You're in the process of a divorce and you just don't know what to do next. Do you have any options if this happens to you? Do you have to discontinue your case? Is all hope lost? Or maybe even you've been trying so hard, you start this process and you know this marriage is not working out. On a daily basis, you're suffering certain things and still you try to keep it together for the process of going forward with your case. Now, if you've, thank you so much for all the love, guys, on TikTok. Thank you so much. From Braun Law, hi. So what happens if you have started your green card process, you're married to a US citizen or to a resident, and you are finding yourself in the middle of getting divorced. And you have been thinking that, you've lost all your hope and you feel like there's nothing else to do. Well, you may have an option to continue your case without your spouse. And the process that I'm talking about here is a process for a self-petition underneath the VAWA law. If you have never heard of this, this is what it entails. Now, I want you to take yourself back to this relationship that you're in, this marriage to a US citizen. And I want you to ask yourself, are you going through things on a daily basis, right? Are you going through certain sorts of insulting behavior, threatening behavior? Has your spouse ever threatened to call the police on you? Before you even got divorced, what was it like? Was it tense for you? Were you feeling like you're walking on eggshells everywhere? You're afraid to get your spouse upset. You're afraid to not do what they say. You're afraid to go against their wishes. And you're just afraid that no matter what, your hands are tied because you're stuck in this green card process. You need to see it through because you're worried about getting deported. You're worried about losing your entire life here if you don't stay married, but yet you find yourself in the situation where your spouse has already started the divorce process. Maybe your spouse has even abandoned you. And you feel like you basically don't know what to do. Well, if these things are happening to you, then you may be going through something called extreme cruelty. And as a result, you may be able to start a petition for a self-petition for yourself. It's a self-petition and autopetición, which means that you file for yourself. You have control over your own life and you don't have to worry about what happens with your spouse, even if you get divorced. Now, what happens if you have already gotten divorced? Can you still do this case? And the answer is maybe. You may still be able to file as long as the divorce was not more than 2 years ago. So for example, if your divorce happened 5 years ago, 3 years ago, then it may be too late. We may have to look at other options. But if your divorce has occurred within 2 years from a US citizen or resident, then we may still be able to proceed with filing for VAWA. Now, here are a few key things you must know in order to proceed for VAWA, and I'd be happy to take a look at your case. If you find yourself in the situation where you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm about to get divorced. I have my interview coming up for my green card tomorrow, or we just got news from NBC that my documents are qualified and that we're going to hear from the embassy for the consulate at Ciudad Juarez or, Ecuador, Guayaquil, wherever it is that my interview is going to come up. If you find yourself in this process where you have started the waiver or the adjustment of status process inside the US, but now you're in a divorce, you may be able to continue with the VAWA self-petition. Here are the few things that you must be able to show, and it is my job to help you show this, but you must be able to meet these minimum eligibility requirements on your own first. Number one, your marriage must have been to a citizen or to a resident. Number 2, you must have shared a residence with your spouse. That means that you must have lived in the same place with your spouse, during the course of the marriage. Number 3, your marriage must be a real marriage. Please don't engage in a fraudulent or contract marriage for the purpose of getting a green card. And then, if it doesn't work out, then try to file for VAWA. That's not how it works. It needs to be for a relationship that is real. And number 4, this is the part that people worry about. The part that people worry about is the part of showing that they have suffered in their relationship. And people say to me almost every single day, I never call the police. No matter what they did, I never call the police and I don't have any proof. Well, guess what, my friends? You do not need a police report to file for a VAWA. I've thought about all the cases that I have, and I would say 95% of my cases do not have any police reports. It is simply not true that you must have a police report to file for VAWA. However, you must be able to talk about what's happened, and we help you do an affidavit. You can do other things, and you have more proof than you realize, okay? So anyway, at the end of the day, definitely give us a call, 212-248-7907, if you have your interview coming up and you're no longer living with your spouse. If you have if you have a process in place already and you're divorced or separated, whatever it is, when you find yourself in the situation where you are feeling hopeless, you were probably feeling hopeless even before the divorce or separation happens, give us a call, 212-248-7907. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start answering some questions. And again, so for those of you who are joining me right now, my name is Moumita Rahman. Thank you for joining me live. And I'm going to do my best to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, can my 21-year-old daughter fix my status without leaving the U.S.? I'm currently here from Angelica. Angelica, thank you so much for your question. Now, can your daughter help you fix your status without you leaving the U.S.? By your question, I'm going to assume that perhaps you may have looked at other options and you may have been told that you have to leave because you don't have a legal entry. Here's the key. If your daughter has ever put you through certain behavioral problems and you have, you felt hopeless at times, you felt that you could not control your child, or they made threats against you. There's a variety of things that happen in parent-child relationships that people don't want to talk about. But you feel like, you've done your best to be a good mom to your child, but your child never appreciated you, always, disrespected you terribly, and also, put you in situations where you might even get arrested because they're not, they're breaking the law or they're doing other things, then you may be able to file for yourself for a self-petition as well. Some of the same things happen. Some of the same things are required. You must show that you have lived with your child and also that some of this abuse has occurred, after they reach the age of a majority. But if you do have a legal entry, then we can go ahead and file for your green card right away. That's simply something else that we have to look at because they make it so hard in immigration law to file for parents, okay? So Angelica, definitely give us a call, 212-248-7907. Now, one thing to know, if you are the parent of a U.S. citizen child, you want to fix your status, you don't have a legal entry, and you know that, in your heart that, yeah, your child has put you through a lot of bad things, give us a call because, this is not going to affect your child. It is not going to hurt them. The law, this part of the law has been set aside for you to be able to get your status fixed, without worrying about getting deported, without worrying about having to leave for 10 years, because, in the situation, you need some help. All right. If my husband got voluntary departure, can he reapply for his visa from Bells Miranda? So voluntary departure. Okay, so let's break it down. If you receive a voluntary departure, that means that you have been in a removal proceeding and you agreed with the judge that you will return to your home country instead of contesting the removal, charges against you. Normally, when you take a voluntary departure, the worst that usually people suffer is a 10-year bar to reentry. Normally you cannot get voluntary departure if there were some serious issues involved. So if you get a voluntary departure, probably what he needs is a waiver to come back. He can reapply for a visa, but it's going to depend. And I'd love to take a look at his case. Okay, Miranda? So 212-248-7907. My daughter is very sick since her birth, and my husband and I are on student visa. Can we apply for a green card from Rosna Tapa? Rosna, thank you for your question. So when you have when you don't have permanent residency or you don't have a green card, you have nothing except a student visa, or even if you don't have any visa at all, and your child is severely sick, can you ask for a green card on this basis? And the answer is no, not really. You can't ask for a green card. However, you can ask for something called medical parole in place. This is kind of a way to get a little bit of a status and get a little bit of a reprieve from deportation and also get a work permit, but it is not a green card. If you have a student status, if you have a student visa and it's valid, your best bet is to continue on this path and also to try to get sponsorships through your work. Marlene, if you want to ask a question, go ahead and ask it. All right, how can we schedule a meeting with you from Fabi Nail World? Fabi Nail World, I got my nails done. Fabi, you have to call our office 212-248-7907. Call us. My assistants are standing by. My assistants Josue, Anderson, Ivan, everyone is standing by to book you for an appointment. All right. Does COVID slower the USCIS cases from Aisha? Aisha, yes. In some ways, COVID is slowing down the operation of immigration and making a lot of things take longer than usual. However, USCIS, immigration, they're still working, they're still processing things. It's just a little bit slower. All right, I'm gonna just switch to YouTube right now. Can I use an Oscar M is asking, how long is a VAWA process? Oscar M, thank you so much for your question on YouTube. Oscar M, a VAWA case will normally take between 2 years to about 2.5 to maybe 3 years to be completed. The reason for this is this: the I-360 cases are actually decided by special officers who are trained in domestic abuse, domestic relationships, and they have a lot of cases and there are not a lot of officers. So they take usually an average of 18 months to 24 months to decide the VAWA case. Once your VAWA case is approved, then your local field office inside the US for immigration will usually be alerted to schedule your green card interview. And that's the part that can take anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on your local field office. Gabby, hello, how are you, my love? Roach Brown is asking, how long does it take when a brother files for his sister? Roach Brown, sibling cases take 15 to 20 years, depending on the country that you're from. You're Connected is saying, can I use a no contact clause in my divorce agreement to get VAWA? You're Connected. You're Connected. This is a really good question, actually. You're Connected. Okay, let's break this down. Can you use a no contact clause in your divorce proceedings to file for VAWA? Well, depends. It can be evidence of your, you may be able to use it as evidence that you suffered so much in your marriage that you even had to go so far as to put this clause into your divorce proceeding. However, that by itself is not proof of VAWA eligibility. Your case will need more. Your case will need a well-developed affidavit and every other thing that can be possible to support your claims, okay? But it's a good sign, and definitely we can use it. Give us a call. You're Connected, 212-248-7907. Assad, hello. Ali Stony Island is asking, what means a joint motion? A joint motion is basically one where you have, you're in deportation proceedings and you have proactively reached out to ICE, DHS, which is, they're the attorneys that are basically the prosecutors. They're trying to deport you. And you reach out to them and you ask them if they will agree basically, or not oppose, or basically agree to join in a motion to do something on your case. Normally, us attorneys, we're asking for DHS to join in on motions to dismiss, motions to reopen, certain things like that. So basically, it means that you have obtained kind of their consent or their lack of opposition for that. All right, let's go to Instagram right now. And guys, I am live streaming on 4 different platforms, so it takes me a little while to get through all of these. Jerry, if I have prima facie and biometrics, how long does it take to get a work permit? Jerry Figueiredo, if you have applied for the I-761, then normally it'll take about 6 months. All right, and Stephanie 9565, you're saying yes. That means that something I said to you resonated with you. So if what I said to you earlier about being in the green card process, when you're in the green card process and you're married to a citizen, you start that process with them, but you find yourself in the middle of a divorce instead of getting your green card, you may have an option. I want you to give us a call, 212-248-7907. Could you please tell us any update on TPS from Nepal, from Binod? Binod, I'm really sorry, I have not kept up to date on that right now. I received my green card, but not my social security number from Gigi. Gigi, thank you for this question. Now, this is something that a lot of people are going through because guess what? The Social Security Administration is not operating at its normal capacity. And people, even though they're getting approved for a work permit, are now having problems with receiving the Social Security card. This is no fault of immigration or really of, I mean, it's definitely not your attorney's fault. It is really simply a matter of the fact that Social Security Administration is not, they're not operating at the full capacity, and that's the only reason that I can explain. You can just try to go to Social Security, try to apply for a replacement or make inquiries. It's a very tough process. It takes a little bit of time. All right. Good evening. What is an I-693 deficiency form? From Lisa. Lisa, it is basically just a notice saying to you that because you filed your I-485, what's missing is the medical exam in your case. And they tell you in the deficiency notice that it's really a courtesy notice, and they're just telling you that you need to wait for either an interview notice to bring your medical exam or wait for a request for evidence in order to submit your I-485. All right. Oxígeno, buenas noches, buenas tardes. Un saludo de mí, I can't even say it. A mí de mí a usted. Okay. Wanemi Davidson is asking, in the case of FGM, if you are in the USA and they want you to go back home to do it and you're scared, and can you file even if this is the time you're asked to do it? Wanemi, okay, FGM, female genital mutilation, is a terrible thing. For me, this is something that, is basically, if you're suffering this, if you're being pressured to do this right now, and you're worried about going back, then, maybe you might be eligible for asylum. I don't really know. It really depends on your case, but you can give us a call, okay? 212-248-7907. Antolin Martinez, muy gracias por todo. Ya le voy a pedir información. Muchas gracias, Antolin, por viendo a mí en vivo, y muchas gracias por sus preguntas. ¿Tiene una pregunta, Antolin? Por favor, pide sus preguntas. Okay, as you can see, I'm still learning Spanish. I'm learning Spanish for my clients. Okay, estoy aprendiendo español para mis clientes porque yo quería hablar y platicar con mis clientes. Es muy importante por mí y por ustedes también. Yo quiero de que mis clientes sentir muy bien cuando ustedes están trabajando con mí y cuando están ustedes when they hire me, okay? So muchas gracias, Antolin. Okay. All right, so from Furkan, Kulkan is asking, I applied for a VAWA petition. I'm an OPT. Do I need to be in status? From Kulkan, you do not need to be in status in order to do a VAWA petition. One of the beauties of VAWA applications is that you do not need to be in status. You do not even need a legal entry in order to do VAWA. All right. Ibrahima Musa is saying, I sent a message and never got back. Ibrahima, please send us another message. Sometimes they do get lost and we do get a lot of requests. So go ahead and send us another DM and we'll do our best to get back to you tonight, okay? Hey, Sherlock Shams, how are you? All right. All right. After you fix someone's papers, do they get a 2-year residence and then a 10-year residence? From K Crazy. K Crazy, okay. K Crazy, when you apply for residence with a U.S. citizen spouse, when it's a joint application, you can get either a 2-year card or a 10-year card, depending on how long you were married to your spouse. For example, if you were married for less than 2 years at the time of your approval, then you will only get a conditional 2-year card. This is not wrong. It's actually a legal requirement. It's a hoop. They want you to jump through another hoop in order to get your 10-year card because immigration is so worried about fake marriages. But if you have been married for more than 10 years at the time, more than 2 years at the time that you get approved for your green card, your initial green card, you will automatically get a 10-year card. And if you apply for VAWA and you get approved for VAWA, no matter how long you were married, you will always get a 10-year card. Can I still file for it? It's been 2 years from Marlene. Marlene, I think I may have missed part of your question, but please ask it again if you don't mind. Oh, here it is. Marlene is saying, I filed a police report for domestic violence, but never tried to get a green card from it. Can I still file for it, even if it's in 2 years? Marlene, okay, if you did file a report for domestic violence and it's been 2 years, I think you're probably still eligible for a U visa. Give us a call, 212-248-7907. I'd love to help you apply for a U visa. And a U visa is a great tool for people who have suffered serious criminal activity. If you have been the victim of serious criminal activity and you cooperated with police, you reported it, then you may be eligible to apply for a U visa, especially if you have nothing else on the table available to you immigration-wise. The U visa is for victims of qualified crimes who have cooperated with law enforcement. And if you have filed for a police report, that means you cooperated, but we also have to go back to see Marlene if you showed up to the hearings, if you cooperate with the investigation further on, okay? And if you can get law enforcement certification, you can apply for a U visa, and eventually, once it's approved, you may be able to apply for a green card after that. All right. If a person gets married to a U.S. citizen, how long does it take to get a green card? From Shanti is saying, Shanti, when you marry a U.S. citizen and you are inside the U.S., the process usually takes about a year, year and a half, depending on where you live. It's a self-love journey. You have an appointment with me. I'm so happy to hear that. Wow, guys, I have so many questions today. It's great. All right. Any advice for an upcoming 1L from Vic? Vic, just keep at it. Don't give up. That's actually my best advice. Where am I located? I'm located in New York. Okay, guys, I'm located in New York City. I'm in the heart of Manhattan. I'm downtown by the World Trade Center. However, I work with clients all over the U.S., So just don't hesitate to give us a call, 212-248-7907. I know that some of you may be living in locations where there's going to be a lot of lawyers, but they don't always have the best reputation, or you're living in a place where there's not access to any lawyers. And if you're watching me, I feel so lucky that you're getting to watch me, and that, I hope to be able to give you some good information and, just the knowledge that there are good attorneys who care that exist. Okay. All right. What's the deal when immigration court case removes dates without providing any info? Like they don't replace the date or send a letter like 3 days prior from Levy 91. Levy, it just means that they cancel it and they're severely overworked, so they don't have the time to send a notice. I'm not saying it's right, but they cancel things left and right. So you always have to keep an eye. If you're in immigration court, you always have to keep an eye on the EOIR portal. And I'll try to put a link up to it later, but you can just type in your A number and you can always refresh it every single day to see what it says for your hearing date. All right. All right, Kayembe Lukusa. Kayembe is asking, hey, Moumita, how long does the self-petition process take once you have filed? Kayembe, it's such a great question. The self-petition VAWA application takes an average 18 months to 24 months to be approved. And then once the self-petition is approved, then your case will be forwarded to the local field office where you live so that you can have an interview on your eligibility for the green card itself. The I-360 is not a green card. The I-360 is just a VAWA self-petition, or for other cases too. But to get a green card, you need to have an interview in your local office, and that is the time where you might wait anywhere from an additional 6 months to a year, depending on where you live for that interview. So roughly, I would say 2.5 to 2 years. All right, I have a question. My mom submitted an I-130 for my brother, but he died, and he has a baby. Can the doctor help my niece come to the U.S. for humanitarian reasons from Butterfly Girl? Butterfly Girl, I'm so sorry to hear about the passing of your brother. Now, if your brother has left behind a child in their home country, then I would say that a good solution, I mean, yes, you can try to get the child in here on a humanitarian parole. It's worth a try 100%. And you can also try to have, your mom or you can adopt your niece, and that might be another solution, although that's probably going to be more difficult. But if you're looking for a long-term solution to get your niece a green card and residence in the U.S., then adoption might be the best way. I don't deal with adoptions. If you call my office, we'll try to get you in touch with somebody who does, but that's probably the best thing that I'm looking at. All right. Can a person who was deported 11 years ago apply for a U visa out of the country from Go Bananas? Go Bananas. That's very interesting. You don't necessarily need to be in the country to cooperate with law enforcement, and the cooperation can have occurred before. It does not need to happen now. So it really depends. I'm guessing though, if it was, if the crime happened more than 10 years ago and you're outside the US, it's going to be very, very difficult to get approved, but you can try. Do you know when K-1 visas will be prioritized by U.S. Embassy from Estelle Art? I do not. I'm really sorry. What if I didn't put my spouse on my taxes and filed as a head of household? Will it affect it? From David Zamora. David Zamora, please don't file as a head of the household if you're married. That's technically incorrect, I'm pretty sure. And yes, it can definitely jeopardize the case. What happens when VAWA gets denied from its self-love journey? Okay, this is a fear that people have. A fear that a lot of people have is, what if my VAWA gets denied? What happens then? Will I get deported? VAWA is a humanitarian case. It is meant for victims. And, underneath Trump, yes, there was a huge fear because they had something called the notice to appear memo. The notice to appear memo basically said that anyone who is out of status, who's basically underneath the attention of immigration, can be placed into removal proceedings. So yes, it was definitely a fear underneath Trump that these might get forwarded to ICE. But even then, I believe we saw very few cases. I don't have a lot of denied cases, so I can't speak for myself. However, for other colleagues that may have had denied cases, I don't know exactly what happened, but I did not hear of them getting forwarded to ICE for removal proceedings. Now, generally, when you have a VAWA case, they're not in the business of trying to enforce immigration violations, right? However, if you have a serious criminal history, such as convictions for aggravated felonies, or if there's reason to believe that you're involved in trafficking, then I would probably say don't file the VAWA, because if they suspect those things or they see that you have those convictions, then they may forward your case to ICE for enforcement, okay? But otherwise, if it gets denied, if you're working with me, hopefully it won't get denied, because we try to do the best job possible. However, if your case, you do it with somebody else, gets denied, probably nothing's going to happen to you. And if it does happen to you and you get put into deportation, then you're probably going to be eligible for something called VAWA cancellation of removal. Can I travel to Miami from Texas even though I don't have DACA? From Revem Tazanre. You can travel domestically if you don't have status at all. If you don't have any status, you're out of status, and you want to travel domestically from state to state, you may be okay, you may not. It really depends on how much risk you want to take, because, Border Patrol can be anywhere. And if you're going to a state that is, near a port of entry, then they technically have a jurisdictional area of 100 miles around the port of entry. How to expedite an asylum-based green card, from Zakib Zaib Khan. Zaib Khan, if you have an emergency to show why you need that expedited, then you can request that on the basis of that. All right. Do you recommend for me to take any pre-law college? From Shaves World. All right. Thank you. This is an aspiring lawyer who's asking me this question. If you're an aspiring lawyer and you want to take a pre-law class, take as many pre-law classes as you can. These are usually classes that are very heavy on writing. Writing is key when you're a lawyer. All right. After you fix someone's papers, they get a 2-year resident. Okay, I already answered this question. Go Bananas. Go Bananas, I see part of your question, which is, she is very aggressive and has assaulted my mom a few times. From Go Bananas. Go Bananas, I see the rest of your question. My sister is 9 and now she's 26 with a brain disability due to the medication. She's very aggressive and has assaulted my mom a few times. Go Bananas, give us a call. Let's see if we can help your mom, okay? 212-248-7907. Even whatever the reason is, if your mom is being assaulted and, her child is aggressive, the daughter's 26, give us a call, okay? We'll see what we can do for your mom. All right. Let's see what questions I have. Oh, Gabby. Okay, I'm going to read this comment out from my client. Gabby, so happy to be your client. Speaking with you has ignited the spark in me. I just want to say thank you. All right. Thank you, Gabby. Gabby, thank you so much. No, thank you for being my client. You know what something that means a lot to me is anytime that anyone takes a step to call, to become my client because they trust in what we can do. It means a lot because I know that I'm going to be there for you, and I'm going to be doing everything I need to, everything I can for your case because you deserve it, Gabby. Okay. My sister is a U.S. citizen, and I'm in the U.S. on a visiting visa. Is it possible for my sister to apply for a green card from me, from Liberty J. Saw? Liberty, probably not, because the wait time for a sibling is about 12 to 15 to 20 years, and you need to maintain a underlying status, staying status the entire time while you're here. However, your sister can make an application for you now, and you can return back home and wait for that to be processed. Hi there. I went to my AOS interview with my husband. I think it went well. We have 2 kids. The officer took my I-94 at the end of the interview. Is that bad? From Tina. Tina, no, that's actually pretty normal. It's actually pretty normal for officers to take your I-94 card at the interview. Some officers do it, some don't. It's kind of an old school habit. I don't really know what the purpose of it is anymore, especially if we give copies of it. But it's normal, and it doesn't mean anything bad. Thank you so much to Airball. My sister staying in the U.S. Can I file for her? Roche Brown, probably not. It's probably not going to help your sister for a sibling to apply for her because the processing time is so long, and she has to be in status. Can I convert my existing I-751 to VAWA? Well, what you can do, it's a self-love journey, is you can't convert to VAWA. However, you can apply for an amendment to your case using a waiver that is created underneath the VAWA law. So sometimes some attorneys call it the VAWA waiver. What I call it the extreme cruelty and battery waiver. And if you have already filed your I-751, and now it was a joint application before, but now you're not together anymore because of all the abuse that you've been suffering, we can go ahead and file the waiver right now as an amendment. Okay. And I hope to help you with that. Okay. Okay. All right. Hola, Andrea José, en 1995 y nunca he salido. ¿Qué puedo hacer? Transit 3, sí. Si usted entró en 95, pero nunca salió los estados, sus opciones dependen en su situación. Por ejemplo, si usted está casado con un residente o ciudadano, yo tratar a encontrar si usted tiene problemas en su matrimonio o si usted califica por un visa U o visa T, ¿ok? O si usted está casado con un residente o ciudadano, yo encuentro por yo busco por una solución, por un perdón, ¿ok? Por favor, llámenos a 212-248-7907. All right, guys, I'm just going to answer one more question. Junior, all right. I just want to say, Junior Perez, thank you so much. My sir, you have been asking me questions, and I've been asking you to call, and you finally booked. Thank you for taking that step of courage to book with me. I'm looking forward to meeting with you. Okay, Junior? All right, guys, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for joining. I hope everyone enjoyed my live. I'm sorry. I know I could not answer every question, but I hope to see you guys again, and thank you for your patience. Bye.